I sure can.
All right, I'm ready.
Go ahead.
All right, so thank you everyone for being here. My name is Ace Carradine. I'm from PCA, Positive Coaching Alliance. So I think in everything that you do, it's important to know why you do it. You can't say that you're passionate about something if you don't truly understand your motives and why it's important to you. So for me, my why story from PCA, I started playing sports when I was about 6 years old. I played soccer, football, still my favorite sport. I also played a bit of volleyball until I realized that I wasn't going to grow very much anymore, and then I had to let it go. But before I found my sport of basketball, and basketball has taken me to so many different places, and it's just been an amazing experience. So, but from youth sports, I learned so many things. I learned dedication. I learned hard work. I learned discipline. I learned respect. And not only respect for other people, but just respect in general, respect in everything that you do. Every time you step on the court, making sure that you do everything that you can to get better. And I think that that's something that really needs to be harped on and taught to every young athlete out there to really make sure that we maximize their talent and we keep them playing the sport as long as we possibly can. So I love PCA because I get to reach out to so many players and so many coaches and really help them understand what we can all do to make youth sports better for our entire country and maybe someday even the world. All right, so at PCA we have 3 principles. We have the Elm Tree of Mastery, we have filling the emotional tank, which is my personal favorite, and last but certainly not least, we have honoring the game. So we're just going to start off here with a clip.
You have good effort out there today. Let me be clear about this. A good effort is not enough. Now, I'm proud of you, but I will not accept losing with you. Because there's only one thing they judge us on. There's only one thing people remember. And it ain't how we play the game. Winning is everything.
All right, so could everyone raise their hand or something just to signify if you've ever had a coach like that? Yeah, I'm sure that we all have. I've had many coaches like that. And what he's simply stating is just like, doesn't matter how good we played, how much effort we had, how much heart we displayed out there on the field today, we lost. And the only thing that matters is that we lost. And so often that's the message that is given from kids that are 6 years old all the way up to professional athletes. All that matters is that we lost. And at PCA, we don't support that method. Yes, winning is important. Everyone wants to win. Winning makes everything a little bit better, but it's not what we should focus on for 6-year-olds to 18-year-olds. It's all about the development. So that's why our first principle.
Talk about our opponent.
Sorry about that.
This afternoon.
So that's why our first principle is called the Elm Tree of Mastery. All right, because it's all about making sure that we do everything we can to make our players masters of their sport, not just harping on how much they need to be winning. All right, so I have another clip from the same movie, We Are Marshall. Here we go.
They're bigger, faster, stronger, more experienced. And on paper, they're just better. And they know it too. But I want to tell you something that they don't know. They don't know your heart. I do. I've seen it. You have shown it to me. You have shown this coaching staff, your teammates. You have shown yourselves just exactly who you are in here. When you take that field today, you've got to lay that heart on the line, man. From the soles of your feet, with every ounce of blood you've got in your body, lay it on the line until the final whistle blows. And if you do that, we cannot lose. We may be behind on the scoreboard at the end of the game, but if you play like that, we cannot be defeated.
So I love that movie, one of my favorite sports movies of all time. But I think it's really important to recognize what the coach said. He emphasized the same points as the first coach on the movie: effort, heart, and he also talked about winning. But he talked about it in a completely different light. Can anyone tell me what he said that differed greatly from the first coach?
I just heard him say that we can be behind on the scoreboard at the end of the game, but we can't be defeated. And the first guy said, you know, your effort's good, I'm proud of you, but winning is everything.
Exactly. So at PCA, we solely agree with the second coach. Because you know what? Like he said, at the end of the day, there's always going to be a team that's better than you. No matter how amazing you are, there's always a team that on any given day, they just might have that edge. And I think it's important, especially for kids, to let them know that early, that we're not going to beat everybody just because we're better. But you can maximize your potential if we focus on mastering our sport. All right, so we're going to compare the scoreboard definition and the mastery definition. So when you think of a coach in the scoreboard, what do we think are some of the things that they'll emphasize if winning is all that matters during practice or maybe during a game?
Did we beat our opponent to the ball?
Yeah, so where did we beat our opponent to the ball? I mean, but that's also something that the mastery definition would also look at. So what is really the only thing that matters in the scoreboard definition?
Are we winning on the scoreboard?
Are we winning? That's it. The results. So the results are the only thing that matter. Doesn't matter how much effort you gave, how much heart, how great we played. If we pushed that game into overtime, but we still didn't get it done, doesn't matter because we lost. All right, so many times I'll go out to eat with my players after a game, and they're still in their uniforms. And as soon as we get to the counter, what's the first question that someone thinks we get asked?
Did you win?
Did you win? So that's all our society focuses on. Did you win? Not how did you play? How was your effort? Did you guys work hard? How did it go? So not even to see how the players felt about the game doesn't matter. So oftentimes you'll answer that question, and if you say yes, we won, what happens?
They say, did you score?
They say, did you score? So did you contribute? So if you didn't score, then, oh, man, okay. So then they kind of might leave the conversation. And if you lose, then what happens?
They don't want to hear much more.
Exactly. They move on. They're like, oh, okay, so what do you want to eat? They're not really too interested because you lost. And that's unfortunate because you know what? You could have been playing the best team in the world. So, you know, maybe you guys did everything you could. It was a close game, and it just didn't go your way that day. And it just makes the kids feel as though, or any player feel as though that if they don't win, it doesn't matter. They might as well not even came. They might as well not even showed up. Might as well not even played that day. So under the mastery definition, we are all about the effort. So let me ask you a question. Kelly, can you guarantee me a win tomorrow?
No.
Can you guarantee me a win next week? You got a whole week to practice.
Nope.
How about someone else? Can you guarantee me a win 2 months from now? You did everything you can. 2 months, you got to prepare for this game.
Nope.
No. But, Kelly, back to you. Can you guarantee me you're going to give me 100% effort tomorrow?
I can.
You can. So that's one thing. Results, there's no guarantee no matter who you are, how good you are. I'm sure the Seahawks thought that they were going to win the Super Bowl, and we all know how that turned out. The results are not anything that you can control. What you can always control and what you can always emphasize to your players that they can control is their effort. Effort, effort, effort. That's what matters. In the scoreboard definition, it's all about comparison. Who's better, who's not. That's it. Doesn't matter. And if you're better, you should win. You should see the results. That's it. In the mastery definition, we are all about learning. So from the youngest player to the oldest player, there's always more to learn. There's always ways to become a master and to become an expert. No one is ever going to be perfect at the sport that they play. So it's all about maximizing the learning and making sure that we instill in the players the skills that they need to be successful. The only way you see the results is if we give our players the skills to be successful in the first place. But I think an even more important point is mistakes. So how does a coach who focuses on the scoreboard definition deal with mistakes? Anyone?
He does not accept mistakes at all.
Unacceptable. I've seen so many coaches, and I've had coaches. You make a turnover, you're out the game. Don't even look at me. You're done. You're sitting on the bench. Someone else gets a turn. They make a turnover. Maybe I'll put you back in. So often we see that. Kelly, you might be able to answer a question for me. What do you think it is the average amount of turnovers in a field hockey game, a youth field hockey game?
Probably like 90%.
So it's about 40.
Yeah.
40 turnovers a game is the average. 40. So that's 40 possessions, 40 times we could have scored. In basketball, we have the magic number, keep it under 20. Just keep it under 20 is what so many coaches will say, and we can be successful. So we know that mistakes are going to happen, right? Right?
Yeah, we know. Sorry.
Mistakes are inevitable. So it should never be like that mistake is not okay. It should be, yes, you made a mistake, but how do you bounce back from that? What we should teach our players is that mistakes are inevitable, but it's all about the bounce back. So are you hanging your head? Are you hitting something? Is your coach throwing the scoreboard? Do they can't stand you? They want to see you at the end of the bench? Those are not the ways to deal with mistakes. Then kids get anxiety about making mistakes, and guess what? What do they probably do?
Make more.
Make more mistakes. So instead of 40 turnovers, we have 80 because everyone's scared to make one. All right, so research shows that in the mastery climate, anxiety probably goes, anyone think they can answer the question?
I think it's going to go down.
It's going to go down, exactly. And when your anxiety goes down, you're probably less likely to make a mistake. You're comfortable. You're feeling good about yourself. And you know, because your coach is focused on mastering the sport, that you have the skills necessary to be successful. And if you think that you have the skills necessary to be successful, your confidence probably goes
up.
Up, exactly. You're exactly right. So anxiety goes down, confidence goes up. Everyone is feeling good about themselves. The team feels good. The players feel good. So we believe at PCA that teaching players to master the game gives them a sense of, anyone have a guess? It starts with a C.
Confidence.
Confidence, definitely confidence. That's a good one. Another one. Anyone else have another guess?
Courage.
Courage, definitely courage. So they can face those fears. They know that mistakes are going to happen. It doesn't matter. It's all about how they bounce back from those mistakes. How about one more guess for 3?
Control.
Control, exactly. So the Elm Tree of Mastery gives players a sense of control. You can't control the results, but they can control their effort. They can always control their effort. They can control their reaction to a mistake. They can control how much they learn. So how much they actually take from you during practice. Those are things that a player can always control. On the other side of the scoreboard, players can't really control any of those things. We want to do our best to make the players feel as though they can control the important aspects of the game. All right, so I have one scenario for you guys before we move on to the E-Tank. So Jesse hangs his head every time he misses a shot, and as a result, he doesn't get back on defense. As a coach, what can you do? Anyone?
Bench him. Take him out.
Yep. So that's one way, but wouldn't that be a little bit more towards the scoreboard definition? What's something else we could do? All right, so I get it. Yeah, we bench him because defense is important. Defense wins games. So I put him on the bench, but okay, he comes to the bench, then what can I do?
Well, I think you have to talk to him, and you have to help him see the big picture of the game, and that, you know, the mistake's not the reason I benched him, but I'm benching him because he's not getting his head back in the game.
Exactly. So he's not getting his head back in the game. So at PCA, we have a couple ways that we think you can help your players get their head back in the game when they make a mistake. So it's on page 23. We talk about mistake rituals. All right. So for me as a player, you know, I play basketball, so I'm coming down the court, I have a really bad turnover. My mistake ritual afterwards, I clap my hands, probably extremely loudly. But for me, whenever my hands are clapped, I'm done with it. It's over, and I have to move on, and I have to get back on defense. Another one might be to brush your shoulders off. All right, so you just shake it off. You let it go. Maybe you pat your head. And another one that I used with my players this last season is I would always tell them, it's okay. Get it back. So a lot of times my players were very fiery. They were always riled up, ready to go. And when they made a mistake, they were the same way. They were very fiery, very angry with themselves. And sometimes their teammates and very riled up and ready to go. So I'd always tell them when they look to me, because as coaches, they're always going to look to you after they make a mistake. I always tell them, it's okay. We're okay. Get it back on defense. Go do everything you can to get the ball back now, because that's all you can do. You can't change the last play. All right. So thank you, Kelly, for listening to me. I mean, I would obviously move on to the next one, but yeah.
All right. You still have 4 minutes left. So if you want, you don't have to go into the next one, but how would you transition into from Elm Tree of Mastery into E-Tank from there?
I would definitely, so just going through, just give a quick recap of the points. So understanding that under our Elm Tree of Mastery definition, mistakes are okay. They're inevitable, and you have to remember that even as coaches, we're going to get upset about those mistakes. But you have all the control. The players are looking to you. How do you react when a mistake happens? That's how they're going to react. You're their leader, so whatever they see you do is what they emulate. So make sure that you're under control if you want them to be under control when they make a mistake. Also, maximizing your effort. You can't control anything else most of the time in a game but how hard you work. Mm-hmm. And the hardest workers usually are the ones that are going to play the most as well. So when kids are complaining about playing time, I think it's always best to ask them, well, how hard do you work in practice? Do you do everything you can to get better? Do you hustle after every ball in the game? Or are you tired all the time? You know, making sure you let the kids know how important their effort is and that that's something that they can always control. And lastly, learning. We come here as coaches to teach the players, to teach them how to become better players and, most importantly, better people. So it's all about learning. What are you doing to grasp the concepts? What are we doing to get better? And I would definitely, want to go through those points, wrap it up, and then say, we're going to move on to my favorite, which is the E-Tank. And I have a bunch of stories and stuff for that one too. So.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you.
No
your
problem.
pace was really good because that's a lot of information and you got it in under 20 minutes. That's really good.
Nice.
That's really good. How'd you feel about doing that one that time? Which one did you do for Ruben? Did you do E-Tank for Ruben?
Yeah, I did the E-Tank.
Okay. How'd you feel doing that one?
The E-Tank or this one?
This one.
This one, I felt pretty good about it. Since I had so much time, I guess I could maybe work in another scenario or maybe work in an example of my own, another, maybe a longer one. But I just wasn't sure, so I didn't want to go over the time,
No, that's good. That's good. No, I thought you did a great job. I just have a couple things. I think that, first of all, you're very comfortable up there. You seem like you're conversational. And I know in front of a live audience, your energy would even be better. Yeah. But to have a lot of energy on a video call is really awesome. So I'm glad that you stood up and you kind of gave me an idea of what you'd be like if you were in front of a room. So I think it's really good. Just on your stature, I think you definitely have a presence in the room. You can tell that you're a coach because you talk like a coach. And, sometimes you take that for granted, but you really do have to have a certain presence in front of a room. I would just ask that you smile more. Because you in the beginning, you were joking around about not being tall enough to play volleyball. And then when you went into the principals, you were all business, which is good too, but it's okay to have a sense of humor.
Okay.
I like the way that you mentioned, I always say to trainers, one of the things that PCA really values is kids playing multiple sports when they're younger. And most of the trainers that we have and most of the, high level athletes that are out there played so many different sports. This whole idea of kids dropping all their sports when they're 10 is big now, but it wasn't big when a lot of us were younger. Yeah. So I really like trainers especially to put a little bit more value on that because it's something that we don't necessarily say out loud at our workshops, but I think it's really valuable that, you played soccer, you played football, you played volleyball, now basketball. And I think it's funny too that, you said I wasn't tall enough to play volleyball, but now I play basketball, which basketball is kind of a tall sport too.
Yeah.
But, really just spend a couple extra minutes on that, and I think, even though basketball ended up being my primary sport, I definitely learned things in soccer. I definitely learned things in playing football. I definitely learned spatial, teamwork, all this, good footwork in soccer helped me as a basketball player.
Say that I also played softball in college as well.
Yeah. I just think it's important for people to see that, you got where you are, not just quitting and playing basketball from 10 years old up. So that's just a little tip. I think, you did a good job. I like it when you just show the video right away, like just boom right into it. Sometimes people give this whole lead in to the videos, and I think it's better just to show it. So I think you handled that well. I like the way that you talked about, at first when you said the only thing that matters to that coach is that we lost. I think that's true, and I like the way that you hit home on that. But I also don't want you to forget that, like, scoreboard coaches are also super focused on winning, because there's kind of a difference between coaches that are only focused on winning and coaches that are mad when you lose. And there's kind of pros and cons to both. So I just want to make sure that I love how you said, PCA is really focusing on the development, because that's important. But I think there's a fine line between talking about development and talking about winning. And we have to make sure that as trainers, we're telling these coaches that winning is important. Our goal is to win.
Definitely.
We're just not focusing on that
solely,
as a way to motivate our players. And I think it really comes down to performance and motivation.
Yeah.
So if you're a scoreboard focused coach, you think that only focusing on winning is going to motivate your players and get the best performance out of them, where actually it's the opposite. Mm-hmm. By focusing on mastery, you're going to get the better performance out of them, and you're going to win more games.
Yeah.
So, it kind of takes the focus away from winning and losing and more on you want the best out of the kids, and this is how you get it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So I thought that was really good. I love the way you did your little example of, like, can you guarantee a win next week? I thought that was really good. Can you guarantee it next week? Can you guarantee it 2 months from now? Well, you got 2 months to prepare for a game. Why can't you guarantee me you're going to win? I thought that was a really good, that proves a really strong point, and I thought that was really good. And the turnovers too. I think it was cool. You're a basketball person, but you obviously looked into it, and there's 40 turnovers in a field hockey game. That's good to be up on different sports. I thought that was really good too. The one thing that and I don't know if Ruben shared this with you, but there's an activity that he does that I started doing because I just think it's really cool. The Elm Tree of Mastery, when you're talking about it, giving a player control. Ruben's kind of a smaller guy.
Yeah.
And at some of his workshops, what he'll do is he'll pick somebody, and you could do this too, you could get away with this, but pick somebody from the audience that's a lot bigger than he is. Mm-hmm. And say, okay, here we go. Me and you, we're going to have a wrestling match here. Okay, me, this little girl, this woman against this big guy. What is totally out of my control right now? Like, who do you think's going to win? And ask the audience, who do you think's going to win? And they always say, like, oh, well, definitely this big guy is going to win. Well, why? What's in his, he's bigger, he's stronger, he's faster, all this stuff. Well, what's in my control? What do I have that I can control? And they say your footwork, your effort, how quick you are, how much you move, your strategy, some of your skills, So I just think it's a kind of a quick, you sort of touched on it when you were talking about, like, what do you have control over? What do you not have control over? I think that's just kind of a quick visual that I've seen done that makes it really hit home. Like, here's this big guy that I'm going to pretend to wrestle against, but think about your opponent. That opponent's bigger, stronger, faster, all that stuff. So I just wanted to share that because I thought that was I don't know if Ruben shared that with you.
No, I like that though.
Yeah, I thought that was good. The scenario, the only thing I think, the scenario you went through really well. I like how you put in your own, like, hand clap, because that's something that you do. It makes it personal. I would definitely encourage you to have, especially during the scenario, have a little bit more interaction. Have them get into groups or talk with each other, because that's something, the scenario is something where they really can break it down. And what would you do? You just heard about scoreboard. You just heard about mastery focus. Now I want to know, think about your own team.
Yeah.
What are you going to do this season on your own team to change your focus from scoreboard to mastery focus? Or what do you do already that works really well? So I like to get, rather than just like cold calling for scenarios and asking like one person to volunteer, I think it's really cool to get them chit-chatting and talking for a couple minutes to think about ideas.
Yeah.
What else did I say? Players, I can't even read my own handwriting. You said, just about, just certain lines. I always pick up one-liners from workshops. And just the fact that you said, you can't change the last play. When you're talking about your players, you can't change the last play that happened. That's just a quick, like, that would stick. I call it a sticky line. It's something that would stick with coaches. Like, why would this kid be bummed about the last play? Because you can't change that. What can you change? You can change the one before it. So I thought that was good. I also love the way when you recapped, you brought up playing time. Playing time is huge. Playing time is probably a question I get almost at every workshop that I do.
Yep.
And you brought it up and you were quick, but you were so to the point. You know, if a kid wants to play more playing time, wants to get more playing time, I asked them right out, well, have you given the best effort? Have you hustled and you gave examples. Have you hustled every ball? Have you practiced? Have you been here early? Have you been taking extra shots after practice, whatever? So I thought, again, you've got a lot of knowledge, and I like the way you're kind of sprinkling it in and putting it out there. I think that's really good. The only suggestion I would have is to just get more out of the audience, because you do have so much experience and you do have so much to say. And sometimes the audience might feel like they're being talked at more than incorporated in. So, you know, something like that would say, you know, this is what I would do with a player that says, hey, coach, how can I get more playing time? What are some things you've done? And find out from the audience how they've handled it. Or the scenario, you know, that's a good way to get out of players. But just ask, you know, anything you have an idea on and you want to share, ask the audience first. How would you handle this? Like, what are some mistake rituals you guys have used on your team? Yeah. And then everybody can share one and say, you know what I do? I clap. That's just what I do. It works for me. That tells me to reset. Yeah. So it just gets the audience to feel like they're valuable. Like they have a lot to share and they're important. So that would be my only comment. But you definitely know your stuff, and I'd want to listen to you. And I always think it sounds silly to say, but if I'm sitting at a workshop for an hour and a half, I want to have somebody in front of me that I want to hear. Okay. And you're definitely somebody I want to listen to. So you did a really nice job.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to recommend that you are an associate trainer, which would mean we've got to get you out there in front of people. Okay. And I don't know how close you are. You're closer to Boston? Is that where you are?
Well, I moved to the DMV area.
What's DMV? I saw that on the thing.
So DC, Maryland, Virginia. So
you are.
I live in Virginia. I just moved down here like last Sunday.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, that's why. But I saw Eric and Leslie.
Yeah.
Last week, and I met
Jake.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes, and I met Jake last week. So when I went out to see them at a school nearby, so it was really fun and good to meet them. Since I'll be working more closely with them probably than Eric now. So
yeah. So did you go to that workshop last week?
Yeah, it was Alexandria. Yeah, it was like 20 minutes from here. Yeah. Where Eric also did the bullying and the social media. Yeah, I saw that as well.
Okay, I'm doing that same workshop on Saturday. That's why Eric was actually calling me right before I got on the phone call. He's going to fill me in on how it worked and what happened with it. So yeah, that's cool. All right, awesome. Well then, I know DC, we definitely need trainers, so that's even better. We will get you, what I'll do is we'll look for a workshop in the area because there's no local chapter office in DC right now. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll get a workshop in the area, and I'll find somebody and put you in touch with them so that you can present part of the workshop. So you can pick one of the principles. You can pick whatever one you want. You can even do ones you just did, like filling the emotional tank or whatever. And then you would go in as a co-presenter and you'd present part of the workshop. And then that trainer would say, you know what, I think Ace is ready to go. And then you would be on board and you could start scheduling your own workshops. And what we do in the beginning, we'll start you out with like youth workshops, youth coaches where there's not like 150 people in the room, something a little bit smaller. And we try as much as we can, hopefully we can in DC, but we try to get a veteran trainer there with you the first time. Even though you're doing the whole thing solo, beginning to end, we try to get somebody with you just to have your back in case, technology problem comes up or whatever. Okay. But yeah, I'd like to get you matched up with somebody as soon as possible to get you out there.
Okay, great.
All right.
Yeah. Cool.
And so I'm trying to think if Eric would be the DC person. It might even be me. I'll have to check and see what we're doing with DC. But because from here on out, Ruben, Eric, and I kind of split the country with the next steps and follow up some workshops. So I will check with him and see if he wants to hold on to DC or if it might even be me. So, but at any time, if you have any questions about anything, please don't hesitate to call me or let me know or shoot me an email. If you want ideas for something or something's not downloading, just let me know.
All right, will do.
All right. Thanks, Ace. I appreciate working with you.
You too. I'm excited. Thank you.
Yep. I'll be in touch.
All righty.
Bye-bye.